The fourth part of the fall protection system is you, the worker. As a fall protection manufacturer, we're held to standards on how to design, produce, and test this equipment. It goes through rigorous examinations to meet the most stringent codes as set forth by ANSI, the American National Standards Institute. However, you as the user every day determine how you're going to use the product. If you're going to inspect the product, and if you're going to use it correctly, properly, and as you've been trained. We don't want the weak part of this system to be you.
You know, we spent some time talking about the parts of a fall protection system. We've identified those, and we spent some time talking about different connecting devices. What we want to do now is we literally want to show you the dynamics of a drop, and we demonstrate this for two reasons. Number one, we want to show you how fast a fall can occur. In fact, when you fall, literally, and not just in a trip, but if you literally truly fall, many times our brain cannot send signals quick enough to the extremities of our bodies to react, to catch ourselves, etc. So a fall can happen in less than a second, and it doesn't take a fall from a very high height to be a fatal fall. So that's one reason we show you this in live action. Another reason we want to show you this is we want to talk about that max arrest distance again. If you remember, we spent some time talking about how far a shock absorbing lanyard could open up. A 6-foot lanyard after a fall, deploying an additional 4 feet, could be 10 foot long. So we're going to show you two drops today. One is with that shock absorbing lanyard, and the second one's going to be with a self-retracting lifeline. Again, so that we can demonstrate the differences in the kind of connecting devices that you choose to use and how that impacts how far you fall. And of course, that also dictates you not hitting that lower level. So what we have here is we have a 150-pound test weight. Most workers are in the 180 to 300-pound range. So we're going to drop a 150-pound test weight. We're going to activate this shock absorber. This shock pack is going to open up and it's going to deploy. The white material that you see after a fall, that is actually what is arresting that fall. And if you could slow this down, I would compare this to the anti-lock brakes on your car. If you take off from work today, head down the interstate, and you have to slam on your brakes don't go all the way to the floor. What do? They begin to pulsate and bring you to a smoother stop. That's exactly what a shock absorbing lanyard is going to do in a fall. So I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to do this drop. 3, 2, 1. You know, you just saw this fall from a distance. The white material that you see, as I mentioned, this was actually what we call tearaway. This is actually what arrested this fall and ripped this shock pack open. We dropped this from about 12 feet. Now you can imagine if this was the back D-ring of a harness, we're only sitting about 2 or 3 feet off the ground. That means our dummy here, our weight, doesn't have legs, doesn't have arms, and this is literally where the top of their head would be. So this white material is what has arrested that fall. This green material that you see is your backup. Because we only dropped a 150-pound weight, notice we only had about 14 inches of tearaway come out. The more weight that you expose this lanyard to, the more this tearaway could impact and tear more. Also, your free fall distance, how far do you fall before the lanyard activates, dictates this as well. Again, with a shock absorbing lanyard, we as a manufacturer are required to put 4 feet of additional white tearaway in this, which means this lanyard could ultimately be 10 foot after a fall. The second drop that we want to do is with the self-retracting lifeline, SRL, yo-yo, etc. And if you remember, an SRL is a connecting device that allows you to work at lower clearance heights and work closer to the ground or your next lowest thing that you could hit. We talked about SRLs having a couple classifications, Class A, Class B, and leading edge. Class A had that 24-inch maximum arrest distance. Class B has a 54-inch maximum arrest distance. And LE or leading edge are for specific foot level tie-off on edge environments. The retractable we're going to drop for you today is a Class A retractable, so we're looking for a maximum arrest distance of 24 inches or less. What I want you to note here is the amount of cable that's already paid out of this system connected down to the D-ring of the test weight previously before we do the drop, and then pay attention to the amount of cable afterwards. Again, you're going to notice a couple differences here. One, the weight's going to be much higher in the air because the arrest distance is going to be much shorter. Secondly, there's virtually no free fall with this SRL. And ultimately, why is that important? Because it allows you to work at those lower clearance heights. And in fact, most job sites in the US, statistically the falls happen between 11 to 13 feet. That's why we're showing you this SRL. We'll count down the same way and do a drop. 3, 2, 1. Now, notice here immediately the payout from the retractable. Your arrest distance was less than 6 inches. That's much different than a shock absorbing lanyard. Also, notice there was no violent drop because virtually there was very little free fall before the retractable activated and it arrested the fall. Also, that helps minimize the force on the test weight. The SRL indicator after this fall has been deployed. That is an indication that the unit needs to come out of service because it has been exposed to a fall. It needs to be returned to an authorized Safeways SRL repair center for recalibration. Indicators can be, as of this unit, in the cable or at the hook. Web SRLs may actually have a piece sewn into the webbing. Some SRLs literally have the indicator at the top side of the housing. Regardless of where the indicator is at, you want to make sure that you know where it's at on your particular model so this can be part of your inspection process before you put the unit into service. In regards to your full body harness and shock absorbing lanyard, after a fall, those should be removed from service and discarded, preferably to be cut up, but at least be pulled out of service.